is Luca Milano. He's a director of Rai Italy and has amazing background, but what I like the most is the cartoon world. So maybe you can tell me something about that before you start your topic about contemporary transmedia storytelling for children and younger audiences. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm trying to be as entertaining as possible, considering that I'm at the place of a coffee break, so we have to be moving. I think that, first of all, I am the director of Rai Ragazzi, Rai Kids, the part of Rai that is promoting the offer for children and young audiences after a long experience in primetime drama. And I think it is important to have the idea of speaking also to children when we discuss the themes so important as we heard about this morning, in the sense that if we start early, it is possible to educate also children to themes that are important, they are aware of. When it is late, it is too late, because the process of giving information and giving also education to them is much faster than what we would expect. So investing in production and offering for children for public services, regional, national, European level, it is really crucial. This is the offer of Rai. Just to present myself, we have an approach that is mostly with two channels, one TV channels, one is for preschool, Rai Yo-Yo, and the other is for kids, Rai Gulp. Then we have a presence in the two apps, in two players that we have. One is specifically for children, Rai Play Yo-Yo. Then we are not within Rai Ragazzi, but as a global Rai offer a channel in radio, Radio Kids, and then we have activities in the social media. I think that what we have in face now is that we always have the mandate of addressing children, and we are used that our programs, TV programs for children, had the competition of the other broadcasters. Now competition is really different. We have a competition that comes not only and not specifically from the other broadcasters, but mostly for other media and for video games. It is not stressed enough how much time children and boys and kids and young adults spend in front of video games that are evolving as a way of storytelling and also of social communities. But there is also YouTube, of course, Instagram, social media, and the linear time that the time that they spend on linear TV is decreasing. So that means that also our content, our proposal, our products have to change. Until 2005, 15 years ago, more or less, we had mostly an offer in generalist channel with a slot usually in the afternoon for the children television. It was 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. That meant that the programs should be made to be put into that place, and that were short programs speaking to everybody and possibly to be seen in family. Then it changed completely in these years with the TV channels, the numbers of TV channels for children, pay TV and free TV. Only in Italy we have 25 TV channels for kids, so it is a very crowded place. And that completely changed what we needed as a products because we have now channels that have 24 hours a day of broadcast, 7 days a week, in which the quantity of content is increased so much, and so we need the programs that can be repeated many times, that they can be as specific as possible because the targets of the different channel change, and this is a system that worked for some 10-15 years, but now is changing again, because now we are in a multi-screen environment in which at least 40% of the time of viewing by children and kids is made on YouTube, on the smartphone, because when they arrive in Italy, but I think it's more or less the same in Europe, at around 11, 12-year-old, they receive their smartphone, which becomes a sort of the first ID card, because they have their identity in the moment in which they have their own social identity, they have their own smartphone. And so we still have great programs on the linear televisions, but we are a lot of shorter forms programs that are seen through YouTube, and with a different offer that is not completely well describable, but still is changing, because in a couple of years we all will have a smart TV, connected TV, and it is something that it has not been, I think, understood well how it will change, because until now for a person it is possible either to see television or to see the web, internet on smartphone or tablet, on PC, only a limited part watch internet, use internet on television. It will change, and the smart TV will be as competitive as the smartphone for what regards flexibility, for the use of products, capability of interact and communicate. So there is the place for a new opportunity that we have to take for gathering families, for making programs that can be seen not only for the children targetized, that's only for 4 to 6, that's only for 9 to 11, because when you have a 50-inch screen and you can watch together something with the same characteristic of the smartphone, with the same fruibility, it will be really a strong competitor also to the mobile phones and tablets. So we have also to prepare for that and prepare programs that can be watched together again for a wider audience. And so we need new languages for our programs. We are working on that. We are working more and more, especially for kids from 7, 8-year-old on, and from 10-year-old when they receive their own smartphone and they use audiovisual in an individual way, programs that are in the same time TV programs, web programs, and social interaction, social programs. That's why we like to call ourselves a public media services and not only broadcaster. It means that still it is correct to say transmedia and not polymedia, because at the end there is one author. The language, the story starts from one point of view, but then it should be able, that's the role of the producer, that's the role of the broadcaster, to have that the original idea of the author that is on one screen be able to multiply on different screens and possibilities. Because still we have the situation now in which linear TV has not been abandoned yet. Sometimes we read, sometimes we see that at the end it's all about VOD. It is not true yet. It is not true anyway now. And I know that the publicity, the interest of the great VOD, SVOD player all around the world that are making a huge promotion sometimes bring to us to think that it will be the same way all the world together. It is not. Still now 50% of programs are seen by children on linear TV, and it is more than any specific tool that they can have from smartphone or tablet. So, and for events that create community, linear TV being together is still strong. We think about Games of Thrones. At the end, it's not a Netflix show, it's an HBO. And the idea that you have the traditional way of waiting for the next episode and spending the night at 3 a.m. in Italy or more or less in Europe to have in the same time all together the same episodes is still something that not only in information or in sport, but also in drama can be something that only linear TV and broadcasting can do. And it is especially important for when we speak about the children, because we know that the television, the broadcasting area, the media is just one component of a wider market in which publishing and licensing and merchandising has an enormous value in terms of money. We have launched last year an app for streaming, very simple, called Rai Play Yo-Yo, that is now the first app for children in Italy. It is a successful one. It is without advertising. It is it is free completely, and it is well controlled with all the means for the parents to control that the children do not watch television more than the time that they decide, and they can choose specific storytelling for the app. But now also the apps are moving. There is some sort of confluence between the TV channels and the apps, and we see that also the app that start as simply streaming machine or stock of programs begin approaching the public as they were a channel, changing in the morning, saying good morning, in the evening good night, changing their pages according to the time of the day, preparing special appearances when there are holidays, festivities. So it is something that is moving again. The apps can merge with the channel in an unexpected way. But now we have, in a certain sense, with those apps, and with 17 channels and in Italy, and pay and 8 free, so that we are 25. And with all the amount of archive that we can look through our app, Rai Play, and so I think that children have, and kids and also young people have the widest offer ever. They had never the possibility, we had never the possibility of watching at the same time and choosing among so many programs. There's something, two things are strange. One, we propose on a channel usually more or less 15 properties a day, because there are repeats, and it is a huge schedule, 15 properties. When we have the player, we may offer hundreds, but then they concentrate on 5. maybe. The first 5, the top 5 takes 90%, 95% of viewing. So it means that still also for linear television is important to propose variety, because even if we are a public service, the same structures of the app brings the selection to reduce to a few numbers of titles, few titles. That means that the diversity, the tastes cannot be tasted at a very low age, so you can choose what you really like. And the second point is that most of the YouTube world do not invest in production, so they are still proposing and reproposing products that have not financed. So the risk in the future is that having a top level of great properties that are financed by big groups like Netflix, Amazon, OTT, Disney Plus, and few maybe bigger players, and then a very low level of properties that arrive to YouTube that are seen, but they have no great editorial quality, it is not great content. So there is a gap that as public service television we have to fill with content that can be at the same time national, local, and of great quality. So it is even more important not only for in the field of education, of information, in the field of news, but also in the field of children, the role of public service television. And briefly, I would say that for us, for RAI, everything is changing because we are putting a new industrial plan that is no more based upon TV channels but upon genre, and children is one of these, and that the web will be a plain operation, a central operation. So we are working especially now. Well, especially, we are opening more and more a line of production for the web, and we are together with other public service television working more and more on social, and especially on Instagram. Also, we are studying to put information and news again for children on Instagram. But, and I, in this moment, I am also the chairperson of the EBU Kids Media Group. So what we are doing in Italy is more or less something that we are seeing. It is the same situation with difference in Spain, in the UK, in Germany, in France, because it is a moment in which we all are changing our way of moving. And something that is central for me is that if we have the usual role of public television, entertaining, informing, educating, the most important thing now, especially for children, is know and manage feelings and emotions. It is really the first level. Our programs are not educational in the sense that we have programs on teaching languages or science, art, music, and history. Yes, there are also some specific curricula, but what is more important now is to work on emotions, to have people understand, recognize, children understand, recognize, and manage their emotion, anger, violence, envy, jealousy. Those are the themes that are present in our productions, even in the cartoons. Here there is just a bunny because there is an episode of this series that is a British series in which the protagonist is not able to make soap bubbles, bubble soap. soap bubbles. And he sees that all the friends are able and he's not. And then you feel and you are with him discovering how the incapability of being at the same level of the friends make mount anger and even almost a little violence. In a moment in which we know that our kids at the age very early, maybe at 8, 9, 10-year-old, they will be approached by the hate speech, by the fake news, by the bullies at school, creating defenses before, working on the emotions, on the capability, giving a vaccine against this kind of operations, because they are a great campaign. We know that hate speech is not just a question of mood, of bad education, is something that has important and central powerful entities that goes from a media group to the soccer fan teams. However, what we need to do is to work on emotion and show children how to know themselves when they get angry and how to relate with their friends. So we have these guidelines in our action. We have the guideline of storytelling across all the media, web and television first. We are working on European co-production, not only in the field of animation that has been the first, but also in kids drama, and more maybe with exchanges of a format also in the field of live shows. We have to propose ourselves with products that children do not expect, because the brand image that we have as public television are a very old one. We are the television of the parents, if not of the grandparents. So sometimes to arrive with something they do not expect, something brave, is important, both for the topic and for the image of our channels. We have to support the local talents, because there only us remained that have a real connection with the world of schools, of media, with the words of authors, and with the industry world on the national and European industries. And we have to meet the public where it is. So it means that we start from the web, that is really in the space, but at the end it's more and more important now to organize events with the real public, to have children and kids meeting with their stars. We see that now a YouTuber that writes a book becomes top seller because the readers want to have the copy signed by him. The self is more important than the book, but it means that we have to touch our public, to meet with them, and that can be done especially at a regional level. There are some countries like Belgium, for instance, where the public service in the Flemish language VRT is making a great work in involving actual public with events. It is something that is important for us. And in conclusion, I say that cooperation with other public service media is more and more important to have quality products that can be at the same level of the great SVOD that are inviting our countries, that we have to be unexpected and original. This year, in the last 12 months, we made a TV special on the Shoah, the first, I think, animated cartoon for children on the Shoah. We made a series on sexual harassment, live action, and we are making, today is the last episode, a series on coding, just to work with games and mathematics and coding for robots on our channel live. So this is the way in which we want to go, to be more contemporary, because if we speak about our societies, our cities, our countryside, is something that we only are able to do. I can teach just in conclusion the case of that series that we have done, GEMS, is a series that is really a transmedia series, because it started from a VOD service, RaiPlay, then it went on television, then we have on the web a lot of content that are parallel to the series, and then we have organized a campaign with meetings in the schools in order to speak about sexual harassment to children. There is 1 minute trailer with which I would close my speech. There is also the sound.
So happy and carefree.
Hai visto come Joy guarda Stefano e Stefano guarda Joy?
Guarda, no, Alice è soltanto un amico.
I speak about that is only 20 seconds left, but with the sound.
Joy, Alice, Max e Stefano.
When you're 11, you are so happy and carefree.
Hai visto come Joy guarda Stefano e Stefano guarda Joy?
Guarda, no, Alice è soltanto un amico. Sei sicuro?
When you're 11, you have big dreams.
Corso di cucina. Ma non mi convince tanto, eh?
Perché? È la cosa più figa che poteva capitarci. Joy e i suoi amici stanno prendendo sul serio questo stupido corso. Grazie, Ettore, è perfetto.
But when you're 11, one person can take it all away.
Sei bravissima. Secondo te perché non è venuta?
Non lo so, non mi risponde neanche ai messaggi. Joy, aspetta! Vattene! Ma mi dici cos'hai? Ma vattene! Io ho paura, mamma.
Lei è l'avvocato Bartolomei?
GEMS is the first kids TV show that entertains a young audience and at the same time teaches them how to recognize adults' behavior that could lead to sexual harassment.
Col dolce e col salato i Gems fanno quadrato.
We have broadcast this show on our Rai Gulp channel, that's for kids 8 to 12-year-old, and it was really successful. And then it is really a campaign that was done together with psychologists to help children understand when there is something wrong, what are the signs to detect that a friend can be in trouble for a question of this time, and how to communicate and to speak with adults when it happens. That is the series.